So what I thought I'd try is plugging in the iMax B6. Now I've set it to 5 amps. Now what you can do is, because the pack is 0 volts, what you can do to get this going, to make it work, is to change the 1S, what you normally have in the configuration here, you change it to auto, so that it automatically detects the pack voltage, and by setting it to auto, it's going to start sending power to the battery even though there's 0 volts in it. So that's the way to get the iMax B6 to actually start charging when it reads low voltage, and then it will sit at low current for about 3 to 5 minutes, and then after that it'll ramp up to whatever you've set the current to. So I've set it at 5 amps. 5 amps divided by 32 cells is pretty much nothing anyway, so that's okay. Now what I've done is I've got my trusty thing here, my little laser pointer, and we've got 24, and the cells that are the problem are these 4 here. That's at 35 degrees, that's at 31, that's just a bit warmer because it's sitting next to the hotter ones, and all the rest seem okay. Mind you, what that say? That's definitely a problem. That's definitely a problem. Now the 2 on the other side look identical. 30, 30. Yeah, so these 4 cells in the middle here, right in the dead center, look like the problem. So what I'll have to do, and they do feel quite warm, obviously it's saying 30 degrees and it does feel like that. So we've got 4 here that look identical, and this one over here looks identical to these as well. Whether it is or not, whether it's out of the same pack, the laptop pack, who knows. So what I might do is I'll pull this one out and I'll pull these 4 out. Obviously the laptop pack, these cells kind of must have made it into the same pack when I was doing the build, so that maybe that was just timing, but it's also an advantage in this case since they all failed roughly at the same time. Now the other thing I didn't mention in the last video was this pack had always been lower, it was never in balance, it was always a bit low, and twice over the last month that I was playing around with the Powerwall and testing it, and it's been running on a nightly basis, what I've had to do is twice this pack was much lower than the rest of them. So what I did was I plugged in the iMax B6, connected it up like I have now, but obviously on the Powerwall, and just left it on for about an hour, which brought the pack back up to what all the rest were doing. So I've had to do that twice. So I suppose that's a really good indication that there was a cell in here that was failing. Now this pack was always going to be replaced with a better pack. This was kind of a temporary pack to kind of get my numbers up to 20, because I was only at 18 or so. So I used a couple of packs with the lower capacity ones. So this pack was going to be looked at, but it wasn't meant to fail. So it obviously has failed, and yeah, these 4 cells are the problem ones. Okay, so what I've done is I've just disconnected the negatives, which I thought was the easiest to disconnect. So I've pulled that off this one and the bottom 2, plugged it back into the iMax B6 to charge it up. As soon as I turn the iMax B6 off, the voltage drops again. So what I've been doing is I've just left it on for longer, and now if I run my hands over it, these cells have cooled down again, which is obvious. I'm not doing anything apart from just sitting there, and this cell here is now really starting to get warm. So we might have actually got 5 cells that have failed all in one pack, which is really surprising. This cell here next to it is cold, but this one here is definitely getting quite hot. So again, I'll pull off the negative on this one, and then we'll see if any other cells have problems. Okay, so I've just disconnected that negative off this cell here that was hot. Plugged it back in, back up to 5 amps again. Now I think we've got another problem. This one here is hot. It's cold. 32 degrees. Oh, that blue one. That blue one's not actually hot, it's this one here. Maybe it's the angle of this thing. 36, 28, 26, yeah, the angle. So it's 38 degrees, so this one's pretty hot now as well. But not hot enough, well, it's not drawing enough current to again blow the fuse. So maybe it's drawing an amp or an amp and a bit. That's still warm. Oops, that's still warm from before. Just keep an eye on this one here. Not sure if that does actually look like it's getting hotter. So maybe these come out of the same pack as well. Everything else seems fine. What's happening under there? It seems okay. It does only seem like the problem is the cell here now. So I'll get the soldering iron and we'll unsolder this one here as well, which will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right, so this is kind of going from bad to worse. Well, it's potentially just worse and worse. So I've taken apart 8 or 9 of these fuses, so there's one and there's a whole pile of them there that I've unclicked from the cells to disconnect them all. So I've disconnected about 9 cells out of 36 or whatever it is, and I've just been leaving it going, and I've just got this again and found another cell that's hot. 40 degrees, 45 degrees, it's a hot cell. Well, 50 degrees at some points, that's interesting. Anyway, so that's hot, so I'm going to have to disconnect that one. This one over here I've just disconnected because that was hot. And as I go along I see another one that's hot. Somewhere along here. But anyway, it's pretty much means that this whole pack is going to have to be pulled apart. It could be this one here, which is a right pain. So well, if this many cells failed, then clearly there's something going on, and maybe it's potentially been going on for quite a while, but it's been hard to notice. So yeah, this is where I suppose, as we talked about in the last video, the monitoring on the cells would be really handy, so that you could see that when a pack starts to fail, you can see it taper off, and you know over time, looking at a graph, you'll be able to see what's going on, what time, when it started, and how long it's been going on for. So, but yeah, anyway, what I'm going to have to do, this is obviously there's just way too many cells that have carked it, and yeah, both of these ones. This one at the top here actually feels warm as well. So yeah, really surprising that there's this many cells that have failed all in one pack. So that's quite surprising. Anyway, so what I'm going to have to do now is I'll just have to strip it all back, and then label it all. We'll put them in a box and throw them in the chargers and dischargers, and then out of this group we'll find out how many are actually dead once it's all pulled apart. So yeah, thanks for the comments in the last video, and thanks again for watching, guys.